All right, so today we will be looking at field service management. I'm going to bypass that profile pic real fast. Today we're going to be looking at FSM as a whole. We'll talk a little bit about the industry itself, how it applies to multiple facets of different organizations. We're also going to look at the key features of the tool, integrations with other applications like CRM, Desk, which we just saw Ash produce a very wonderful presentation on the features of Desk. We'll also look at the pricing structures of the tool, and then we'll cover a few success stories. Most importantly, we'll get in the tool itself at the end, just kind of play around with some requests, make some work orders, service appointments, and then we'll cover questions. So understanding field service management. I won't go too deep into this since I'm guessing most of you already know what it is if you're in this session. But we can see that we do cater to multiple facets of business. It helps in managing not only field operations, but front desk personnel, front-end operations, ticket. So it also helps managing customer assets, right? We have equipment out in the field. We need to service that. We have scheduled maintenance. We want to be able to control that from a single tool. Also, it enables organizations to make their process more efficient. Some challenges that we currently face. I know personally growing up, I was in a small business with the family. We always had calls come in or a pager. Back then, we would call that organization, we'd make the trip, whatever notes had to be, a day or two delayed coming back in. We may have updates where that technician misses, but a lot of disconnect. So those last minute changes were really difficult to foresee. Communication between teams, that's another thing that we see. FSM is going to be able to centralize a lot of our communication, bring in our requests, talk with our technicians in the field, give some real-time updates, even possible surveys for the customers through service reports. So we will introduce FSM. Our vision here, I like to focus on the keywords, right? Powerful, intuitive, integration, it unifies data, workflows, collaboration, very similar to Desk, right? Also insights through analytics. This is a slide I enjoy just because most people, when they're looking at a specific application, they have their industry in mind, but if you take the core features of what this tool does, you can apply it to many industry, right? So if most of us Texans, I would assume, any of us out of state, we all know what central air is. Oh, you're all out of state, or you're all Texans. Either way, we know what AC is, right? It's something that's a necessary service, right? So we have requests come in for air conditioning. We need to get that technician out. I like to use a lot of drilling references, but most of us aren't in the oil industry, but data comes in. We need those technicians to be out at that site. We need real-time communication in case there's any updates to that status or if there's any issues that may cause downtime. So why FSM? With these 6 points, I like to just kind of centralize the idea that we're trying to take in as much as possible to a single tool. So how those tickets come in, are we taking email? Are we taking phone, chat? There's instant messenger platforms that connect to FSM so we can stay connected. Scalable, we want this to grow with your business. The idea behind any software is we want it to make us more efficient. So as we get more free time, we can start to put efforts into other parts of the business. Total cost of ownership, ease of use, and quick deployment. I like to focus on this as well because most of our field agents, they're not going to be, into learning new software all the time, right? We want the tool to be easy, intuitive. We want it to, just do the job for us to where they can focus on fixing the air conditioner or getting a solution. Support and training is also provided or supplied by us. So FSM has their own team, so you can reach out to them for questions. Any FAQs, we have our own knowledge base as well. So for some key features, we're going to focus on the front desk part. So having multiple avenues, we talked about that, being able to take in all sorts of different requests, track them all the way through completion. So there's a lot that can happen between initiation and completion. So where all of that data resides, instead of being disconnected in multiple tools, we're now going to be taking everything into FSM. So from request to estimate, where we provide that customer with a cost of what it might be, being able to send and dispatch technicians out, being able to communicate with them from the admin office is also going to be an important feature. Revolutionizing field operations for those that are in dispatch and scheduling. We now have a single UI that we can see technicians that are out in the field. We can also see future service appointments. So if we have someone that finishes up early, we might want to send them to a nearby service appointment. We can see that on the dispatch calendar. And we can also have that mapped with assets and maintenance scheduled items. But we're basically giving our technicians everything they need in the field without having to, reach out to us or the customer. We're trying to provide that full contextual view for any given job. And then for the technicians, we give them attendance and travel logs. I do have a service appointment set up that we will take a look at after these slides, where you can see how the trips are tracked. I'm tracking when they check in. I'm also taking attendance into factor. Share data, photos, and attachments. We'll also look at that, but it basically just provides a little bit more improvement and efficiency between inside and outside teams. For the finance side, FSM can integrate with something like Zoho Books, for example. So if we did want to invoice the customer while we're out in the field, we can easily do that, save some extra steps with us without having to take in work orders. I have a very vivid memory of growing up. We had 20 bins on the wall, and then all of those bins had completed work orders where we had to pull those and individually manually create invoicing. Now we can cut that whole thing out of the picture. For business insights, just like most Zoho tools, we have reports and analytics. These are going to help us make our process more efficient, more data, more efficiency. The integrations, you can see the first top 3 invoice books, CRM. Those are the primary ones that can integrate and show us some contextual information about a given customer. So during the demo, we'll look at both CRM integration. We'll also look at desk integration if I have a ticket that comes in and I need to create a work order for that. We'll also look at other instances like Zoho Flow, where if I need to send anything to another application, I can easily do so. These are some simple appointment-based pricing. So unlike other subscription models, we cover by service appointment. If you have questions over this pricing structure, we can always get you connected with someone in sales. That way they can explain a little bit better about how we charge for those. But some simple success stories. I won't read this. I know that can be painful, looking at something while someone reads it to you. Unless you want me to, I can. Okay. But it's basically all the same, right? It makes us more efficient. It connects us to our teams in the field. We can do our jobs without having to add extra steps. India-based company. I like to start small and we'll scale up, right? Because FSM is scalable. So 2,000 appointments monthly. They have roughly 15 territories, so we can split up territories in FSM. That way we can get better metrics on which division, which department is doing better. Users, 70 plus. Contacts, not so important. US-based smart locker company. Again, I won't read everything that's on the page, but you can see that it's growing in service appointments, territories, and users. And then we can have a Saudi Arabia-based cleaning supplier that has over 30,000 appointments, roughly 50 territories, and so on. This will be important for the email at the bottom, support@zohofsm.com. That's where we're going to see all information related to knowledge base, pre-recorded demos, and a personalized demo to your use case if you prefer. Now for the fun part. We're going to look at FSM. So this is our dashboard here. Is that a good size for everyone to see? Do I need to zoom in or? So our home page is going to give us dashboards and reports. Our initial bird's eye view when we log in for the day. This drop-down menu here shows us the overview. So here are our service appointments, new requests coming in, new work orders, approved estimates, and so on. We have different dashboards for service appointments, for dispatch, request management, and the most beneficial for that technician, what they have going on during the day. Our customer sync, you'll notice here that through contacts and companies and assets, we can track all of the above. So if we have serialized assets that are in the field, we need to track those, provide scheduled maintenances. We can track those assets serialized. Companies and contacts that can be synced up with CRM. Our work order management, so as they come in as requests, you'll also notice we have different views for how we see this data. There's actually one right here that's in process. which is the one that I've actually added some data to. So if I am the technician, you'll be able to easily add attachments, work on notes, enter data through the related list, which you'll see are ties with invoice and books. These have to be converted from a request to an estimate to a work order and so on. You can create these from just a work order. If you wanted to open a desk ticket and just create a work order, have that sent out, you can bypass estimates. Just for this demo, I like to show the whole flow from estimate down to work order, service appointment, and so on. For service appointments here, you can see I've already created a service report, which we'll go into detail about. But I can also add pictures in real time. So that's the back of all of your heads. There's probably one from the front, but I don't think you guys need to see that. Easily input data into that tool from the mobile application. For the dispatch console, my appointment was actually in Austin, but since I checked in, you can see where that technician is. If I take my phone and do some updates, or if I log out or complete this work order, you can cancel trips and you can view the entire route of that technician. While we're here, we'll take a look at the Gantt views, grids, and maps. So you can see I've got equipment that I'm tracking as well. Not just service. I've got equipment, I've got crew, and I can see all of that on a map or a calendar. And these sync up with other calendars as well. We'll go back to a service appointment and we'll just close this out. That way you can see how I can view any service reports from that technician out in the field. So let's say I complete this job, which I'll do so now. We're going to complete the work order associated. You'll see the status has changed. Now I'm ready to download this, but service reports that I created before I came up. You'll see options for ratings, signatures from both the technician and the customer, any details that they want to add to that service report. And this goes into our reports and analytics for customer feedback and survey as well. Services and parts, those are things that we can add while creating that request or that work order. I think that can just best be seen this way. So if we come in and create a new request, the summary, spelling is fun. Priority levels, which could trigger workflows. With our company synced, we can go ahead and pull in the appropriate account or contact. If I know I have an asset on field, there's our territory selection. This address is going into the mapping feature of the tool. Preferred dates of that service. And this is going to go towards dispatch. So now I have my request. That's when we can go over to the related list and create an estimate for that. We'll just say it expires this Friday. All of the customer details filter in right here. Here I can add my services if I know it's going to be scheduled maintenance or if I'm going to need some particular parts. This is all things that we can configure into the tool. Click into that estimate, and now we'll just fast forward. We'll pretend that we sent it and that it was approved. But the whole time, you'll notice that if I go back to my dashboard, you'll see where these estimates and requests live. So if there's new work orders or if there's new requests, we're going to get that from our bird's eye view. I also have notifications going through the app itself. So if I'm out away from my desk, I get notifications just like I would a normal click message or a text message. So from here, we'll approve it. We get notifications of all of the above. It's also important to note that all of this can be automated. I have it set up to manually go through just for this demo purpose so you can see how it converts from one to the other. But we'll just convert. We've got all of the parts and services with the preference date. And now I'm ready to create and dispatch. I get notifications of all of the above, and I can go ahead and start going into that work order once I show up. The remaining bits like invoicing, so completed work orders that I need to invoice, I can easily do from the same UI. Let's go back to a completed service appointment. I'm in love with this microphone. It's the best. Let's just go to invoices, create, work order, find one's completed, not yet invoiced. So here's one of mine that is a site survey. There's the customer. It's not yet invoiced, but it's completed. I can just quickly select the data here, click next, generate invoice. If there's any additional line items that I need to adjust or edit, it will be right there. And now we're ready to send that over to the customer. It does say send with Zoho Books because I do have this tied to Zoho Books. So if you use another accounting tool, you could always just integrate it with that tool. You have options through our open API to do so. And recording payment, just as easy as this. We'll just say cash. And all of the updates are here within the single UI.